What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to another NFL free agency topic video. Today, we are going to look at the prediction of the landing spot for the top 2026 NFL free agency class at every position. This is an article from Bleacher Report, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on this article. If you guys agree with me, disagree with me, same thing with the article, let me know down below. And I think I'm also going to give my favorite landing spots for each position as well, or at least each player that we're going to talk about in this video. And if you guys enjoyed the free agency content, let me know by dropping a thumbs up on this video and subscribe for more content like this as well. So let's get into this. We know that the free agency quarterback class maybe isn't the strongest in the world, but honestly, to previous years, it's not the worst. Like, I guess last summer, last spring, I'm in my NBA mindset when I say last summer, we saw like Sam Darnold switch teams. We saw Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers as well. We have Aaron Rodgers again this offseason. Hey, Russell Wilson is a free agent as well, but we know Daniel Jones is probably the top guy. Malik Willis is maybe the most intriguing healthy option because Daniel Jones is coming off the torn Achilles, and they're predicting the landing spot is the Indianapolis Colts. It does make sense. I agree for him to return to Indianapolis. They were a really good team, you could say, when he was healthy last year, and that's why they thought they were in a good spot to go out and trade for Sauce Gardner. 2 first-round picks and Adonai Mitchell doesn't maybe look like the best trade in the world, but it makes a lot of sense for them to bring back Daniel Jones. They have about $26 million in cap space, and they can probably free up a little bit more as well. They're not like a top-tier team, but I just don't see any of these teams outbidding Daniel, or like the Colts for Daniel Jones. Like, the Raiders are drafting Mendoza at 1, Titans, Chargers, Seahawks. Wow, it's crazy they're up there in the Super Bowl. All of their quarterbacks, Commanders, Bengals, all of their quarterbacks as well. I just don't think the Steelers are going to pay big time money for Daniel Jones. The Jets could theoretically be a wild card, but I think they're probably going to take a high upside swing and then maybe look in the 2027 draft. Rams, no. Pats, no. Cardinals, I think, are more likely to roll with Kyler Murray. 49ers, Broncos, no. Falcons, probably not. Bucks, Ravens, Eagles, and Panthers, no as well. So it just makes all the sense in the world for Daniel Jones to return to the Indianapolis Colts. We'll see if he's going to be healthy week 1. I think the odds of that are very slim. We also saw how much Kirk Cousins struggled last year off of the Achilles tear, and he looked a little bit better this year when he took over the starting duties from Michael Penix mid to late through the 2025 season. So even if Daniel Jones is healthy by like week 3 next year, are we sure he could play at the level he did before the Achilles tear? Which scares me when you're throwing potentially a big contract. Like, I don't know if I want to give Daniel Jones the Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield contracts we've seen in the past. Maybe it's something like a Justin Fields. Maybe it's just the quarterback tag. That's a lot of money to tag Daniel Jones. So maybe you can work on a cheaper number. And I think this is still a good connection. Daniel Jones in Indianapolis with Pittman, Warren, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Downs. Hopefully the offensive line can stay consistent. I still like Shane Steichen. I think he's gotten really good quarterback play with not the best quarterbacks on his roster. It's been Joe Flacco, Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew, and Daniel Jones, and I think he's definitely exceeded expectations so far. Just don't really think there's that much of a market for Daniel Jones out there. So I'm going to think a 1-year deal. I would be surprised if Daniel Jones got paid. He was on track to getting paid. I just don't think he's going to get a massive deal. It would be funny if like Minnesota got in there, but Kwesi, yeah, you can see he's got some work to do. They have negative $48 million in cap space right now. So the top running back, Travis Etienne, I mean, maybe he's the top running back to switch teams, but I would say Kenneth Walker is there. Breece Hall, I think, is a better option than Travis Etienne. I think he's still like an explosive weapon out there, but I just don't know if he's the top running back on the market. You have like Javonte Williams as well, and they think he's going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs cannot afford to ignore their backfield inadequacies any longer. Kansas City's ground game completely stalled out in 2025 with both Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt averaging fewer than 4 yards per carry. We all agree, I think, can agree that the Chiefs need a running back this offseason. Either it's Jeremiah Love throughout the draft, Nick Singleton, Allen, Coleman, one of these guys throughout the draft, or heading to the free agency market, which should be a lot better this spring than it was last year, where it was like Javonte Williams, Rico Dowdle switching teams. Kenneth Gainwell was maybe the most impactful free agency switching running back, him or probably Rico, even though Javonte was really solid this year. I like Travis Etienne, I mean, for the Chiefs. I'd probably rather have Etienne and like David Bailey than maybe go after like not the greatest edge rusher in the world, because the Chiefs don't have any cap space. So honestly, if you can get Travis Etienne for cheap. Now, I don't even know. The cap sometimes doesn't feel real, because how do the Chiefs have negative $62 million potentially negative 69 million in cap space, but could go out and still afford anybody out there. That I don't really get unless they're taking the veteran minimum. And if that's the case, why would Travis Etienne go to Kansas City unless it's on a 1-year prove-it deal? He balls out with Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes, who's coming off an ACL tear and might need some time to get up and running again. The Chiefs need to add a receiver as well. They could draft Mekhi Lemon at number 9. They could draft a Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson if one of those guys ends up falling to the 9th overall pick. So if we're looking at team building, yeah, they should try to sign any running back for a veteran minimum, even if it's for a 1-year deal, because we know how the running back market can be, where teams don't value running backs as much as higher or other positions in the NFL. So, hey, Travis Etienne goes to the Chiefs on a 1-year deal. He gets to play for a team that's going to have top 5 Super Bowl odds. As long as they have Patrick Mahomes, they probably will have those odds. And then he gets to hit free agency again in 2027. I don't know off the top of my head if that's like a better running back market or not in free agency. But hey, if he has the best year of his career with the Chiefs, maybe he re-signs with the Chiefs, or he hits the open market again next year after having a career year, which could make more sense than him not like selling out, but just not getting the greatest contract in the world. And maybe he gets like 3 years and that's like 2 years of guaranteed money, or 1.5 like total value of guaranteed money. And then it's just like, that was going to be like your last notable contract in this league, just because the running back age shelf life is not as long compared to some other positions as well. So Chiefs could make some sense. I mean, I'm looking here at cap space teams. I mean, Titans stealing within the division. I think the Texans, if they could pull this off, makes a ton of sense as well. An upgrade from Woody Marks, whatever's going on with Joe Mixon, and definitely Nick Chubb as well. I mean, Commanders, I think, need a playmaker back there. Raiders, no. Chargers, no. Seahawks, they're going to try to re-sign Kenneth Walker. I think they'll be able to. Bengals, no. Steelers, I mean, now you have Jalen Warren, even if Kenneth Gainwell got a bag from somebody else. Rams, no. Patriots, no. Cardinals, no. Colts, no. Niners, I mean, they went for Brian Robinson, but you're still making CMC your bell count until his wheels fall off. Broncos, no. RJ Harvey's the guy there. Falcons, no. Bucks, no. Bucky Irving's their guy there. Ravens, not the worst idea with Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry's still going to be your bell count next year as well. You could have like another running back option with Cam Scatterbo if the Giants were interested. But no, I think Texans make a ton of sense. I do agree the Chiefs are nice as well as a landing spot for Travis Etienne. I do wonder if, I mean, his 5th-year option got picked up, so he's hitting the same free agency market as like Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall, the non-first round pick running backs from the 2022 draft, since I don't think there was a first round pick running back in that draft. I could be wrong. So wide receiver George Pickens, where we could go through these teams at the top. Yeah, the Titans could throw a bag at George Pickens. The Raiders could throw a bag at George Pickens. The Seahawks theoretically could. The Jets could. I mean, that would be fun. Commanders could throw a bag at him. The Bengals, well, why would they do that? The Steelers, yeah, why would they do that? But it does feel like the Cowboys are going to tag George Pickens. Now, the Cowboys don't have a lot of money on the surface level, and we know that the cap can be kind of tweaked a little bit, and you can work around it where you can void money out long term. You can restructure contracts. They could restructure Dak's contract. They could restructure CeeDee Lamb's contract. They didn't have to pay Micah Parsons, but hey, now you're paying Quinnen Williams a decent amount of money. They say the perfect landing spot is going to be the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, he had a career year. He had the best year of his career. A projected tag of $28 million makes that a no-brainer. Now, I have no idea how George Pickens feels about playing on the tag. We've seen guys in the past like T. Higgins not really love the idea of playing on the tag, and maybe he ends up holding out. I could definitely see George Pickens holding out if he's on the tag. Is George Pickens going to get like wide receiver 1 money in free agency? Or if you look at like some of the top paid wide receivers in the NFL, $28 million is the tag, which puts him around T. Higgins. Now, I would feel comfortable with that, but does he want, or is he going to say, you know what, DK Metcalf's getting paid $33 million a year. I want to get paid more than DK Metcalf. I don't need to get paid more than CeeDee Lamb, but I want to get paid $33 million a year, which is about $5 million more than the tag. That still feels like a no-brainer for the production George Pickens had for you last year. And if you have George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, there might not be a better wide receiver duo in the league than that. Yes, you have Puka and Devontae. Yes, you have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but it's up there with those guys 100%. I feel like Dallas should. I still feel like Dallas makes a lot of sense to embrace the offense. I know the defense is still a work in progress. They can invest in that in the draft as well. Maybe they end up taking a Sonny Styles. You have Quinnen Williams as a Raku, overshown. You got to add to that secondary with Diggs and Bland no longer there. Maybe another safety or two as well. I think you just invest with the draft picks you have, especially since you have 2 first rounders in or on the defensive side of the field. You've invested plenty in the offensive line in the draft over the last few years. I think you should bring back Javonte Williams. I think you should bring back George Pickens as well. But yeah, I could definitely see a lot of teams trying to make a play for George Pickens as well. And I'm really interested to see how this plays out. Because what if a team, like what if you tag him and what if a team's willing to give you a first round pick? I think you got to at least think about that going forward. So tight end, we have Kyle Pitts. Predicted landing spot, the Miami Dolphins. Interesting. After shipping off Jonnu Smith before the 2025 season kicked off, the Dolphins failed to generate reliable pass-catching production from their tight end spot. Neither Greg Dulcich or Darren Waller stood out. I mean, yeah, Kyle Pitts does give you a premier weapon. I have no idea how next year is going to go for the Miami Dolphins. I assume that Tua's not going to be there, right? It might be Malik Willis as their quarterback with Jeff Hafley coming over from Green Bay. There's a new front office as well. It does feel like John Eric Sullivan did say they're going to draft a quarterback every single year. I don't think Miami's going to take one with their first round pick, but could they take Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller? Could they take one of these guys on day 2 or day 3? 100%. So we'll see if they end up going for somebody like Kyle Pitts. They are currently 4th here in negative cap space, the 4th fewest cap space dollars in the NFL. There's a lot of other teams I'd rather see Kyle Pitts to that should be contending or at least competing next year. I like Chigakonkwo, but hey, I would love Kyle Pitts as another offensive weapon for Cam Ward here at the top. The Chargers, if you got this money, use it. Kyle Pitts, definitely an upgrade over Rondé Gadsden. Mike McDaniel, hey, he doesn't need to go to Miami. He can go to Mike McDaniel there in Los Angeles. I mean, AJ Barner is fine in Seattle. Mason Taylor, I think, is fine in New York. Zach Ertz's injury, that could make a lot of sense for another weapon for Jaden Daniels moving forward. Steelers know they're paying Freiermuth. Rams just drafted Ferguson. I think Bengals are fine with just kind of like a veteran minimum guy out there every single year as well. Could this be a Hunter Henry replacement? Could this be a Bo Nix edition? I would love that idea before you really got to pay Bo Nix. Could the Falcons just tag Kyle Pitts? They could definitely look to do that as well. They didn't pick up, or they did pick up his 5th year option. That was last season. So yeah, I definitely like some other landing spots than Miami. And I just don't know if the first thing John Eric Sullivan is going to do is pay big time money for a tight end when they never really did that. I forget like how much Jared Cook got paid, but they drafted Tucker Kraft. I think Robert Tonyan might have been undrafted. Not sure if John Eric Sullivan was actually there when he picked him up, and then Luke Musgrave as well. So I don't think they're going to pay big time money for a tight end. I disagree, and I'd rather see him go to like Denver or Tennessee. Definitely the Chargers would be fine. I thought the Kansas City Chiefs if Kelsey retired, which we don't know if that's happening yet. So the best offensive lineman here is Tyler Linderbaum. He might not get the highest dollar amount. That could end up being, I don't know. That could end up being, I would say, Rasheed Walker, depending on the legal stuff going on. But if you look at like, I mean, it's tough here. I'm looking at over the cap, but like Aaron Banks got a decent amount of money last offseason from the Green Bay Packers as well. And he was kind of like a backup going over. Like Linderbaum is, I don't know, $23 million a year. Trey Smith. If you're looking at the centers out here, Creed Humphrey's making $18 million a year. So he could definitely get north of this $24 million. Like Aaron Banks got $19 million last year. I do think he could definitely clear that this offseason. They're predicting landing spot, the New York Giants. I mean, that makes sense for a couple different reasons. Well, one major one in which John Harbaugh is now the New York Giants head coach. So there could be a connection there. The Ravens can tag, I believe, Tyler Linderbaum still. They just didn't pick up his 5th year option because the 5th year option by far exceeded him as the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL. So that's why he's a free agent this year as a first round pick. Like somebody like Kyle Hamilton, if he was still on his rookie deal, next year would have been his 5th year option, and then he would be a free agent in 2027 going forward. And that's why we've already seen guys, or I guess like Brock Purdy didn't have a 5th year option. Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, those guys ended up getting extended this year anyway. Same with like Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley. So yeah, New York Giants would definitely be quite the change. I mean, the Giants are kind of down here in cap space now. They can definitely reallocate money elsewhere. Oh my God, I would just love them in Los Angeles. Oh my God, let's get Justin Herbert another protective weapon. You get a healthy Slater, a healthy Joe Alt, and a healthy Tyler Linderbaum next year. Oh yeah, maybe Mekhi Becton is back and healthy next year. We'll see about that. Maybe you'd have to move on from Mekhi Becton to get Linderbaum, but I would love that. It is tough to pay 3 offensive linemen like that. The Jets, I would throw a bag at Tyler Linderbaum, especially if you lose one of your interior guys. Obviously, you have Fashanu and Membu. The Bengals make a ton of sense, but would he dart in division as well? Or would the Ravens do everything they can to bring him back? I'm going to assume he's back with the Ravens. It feels like Trey Smith 2.0 in a way from a couple years ago with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think he's going to be back with the Ravens, although the Giants would be a pretty sick addition. I can't lie for Jackson Dart. So next up, we have John Franklin Myers, the top defensive lineman free agent out here. Chicago Bears would be perfect. Their defensive line was rough this year. Like Grady Jarrett wasn't the greatest, I think, investment in the world going forward. They have Odangbo, who they picked up from the Colts last year. And maybe those guys are fine going forward, but if you have the cap while Caleb Williams is under this rookie contract, I mean, are they in the negatives here in terms of cap space? Where are the Bears? They're here, negative 17 million. But you assume they're going to move on from like DJ Moore this offseason as well. They can free up some money. You go out and get John Franklin Myers. That would be a home run addition. Now, if you look at some of like the defensive tackle contracts as well, you could pay a pretty penny. I don't think he's going to get like Chris Jones money. He could get Milton Williams money for all I know, but Milton Williams was 26. So maybe he ends up getting like Matabuke and Zach Allen money because I think he is the same age. They mentioned he is 29, I believe. Yeah, the 29-year-old free agent. So we can look at some of these contracts as well. Quinn Williams is getting paid 24. Jeffrey Simmons 23. So maybe it's around that range as well. But I do think he's just going to get paid big time money this offseason. They have the Chicago Bears. I mean, if they could pull that off, if Ryan Poles can pull some strings and figure that out, hell yeah. Until you have to pay Caleb Williams, these are the guys you should go after. They really do need to kind of beef up that defensive line. So Trey Hendrickson, best edge rusher on the market. I would say so. Yeah, he definitely clears like Boya Mafe or any of the other guys on the market specifically. I don't know if he's going to get the longest term deal in the world, but I do think he can get a high AAV for a few years. They have the Baltimore Ravens as their predicted landing spot. Interesting. I don't really know how the Ravens pull that off financially, especially if they're going to bring back Tyler Linderbaum. Now, they might move on from some other guys this offseason. There's been talks about them moving on from Marlon Humphrey, who could be a free agent, and they could save some money there, and they can go a little bit younger in the secondary moving forward. I mean, that would be a big splash. The Ravens have kind of had the Kyle Van Noys of the world going forward, and they haven't really had the best edge rusher. Like Odafe Owe was a first-round pick, but obviously he didn't fully pan out in Baltimore since he got traded this year. Once again, though, like it's tough for that to work out, but the Ravens do have positive cap space, and if they're predicting Tyler Linderbaum to leave, they could allocate that money to Trey Hendrickson moving forward with him and hopefully a healthy Matabuke next year on that defensive line with Roquan Smith still there, and you have Kyle Hamilton, who's arguably the best secondary player in the NFL, definitely the best safety in the NFL. We can maybe get the Ravens back in the playoffs. And I'm sure Jesse Minter would love that. So Devin Lloyd has the best year of his career, has so many interceptions this year at the right time. They think he's going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. So he stays in the state of Florida. Nice for his contract and his taxes. I mean, the Bucs do have a little bit of cap space as well, and their inside linebacker play last year was rough. So I talked about in my one thing every team should do this offseason. I said that they should go out and get like a Quincy Williams or an Ellis from the Falcons, or maybe draft somebody like a Sonny Styles or a CJ Allen. But if they can go out and afford Devin Lloyd, hell yeah. I think that would be a huge pickup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, something that Todd Bowles definitely needs because he's coaching for his job next year. I mean, you look at some of these top paid linebackers. I don't think he's getting paid more than Warner or Smith. He could get paid Truman Edmonds money. Zach Bond got 17 mil a year off a Super Bowl, but he didn't have like the first round pedigree, but he was fantastic for the Eagles in the 2024 season. Nick Bolton, 15 mil a year. Like you don't have to really pay top dollar for an off-ball linebacker, but it might be a decent amount. Like he might get 15 mil a year if you look at Sherwood and Bolton and Zach Bond. So I think that could be a possibility. And if the Bucs can pull it off, that's a good move by them for sure. Jalen Watson as the top corner here. So you have like Alontae Taylor, you have Jalen Watson. I mean, there could be some other corners like his teammate Trent McDuffie on the trade market. Marlon Humphrey could end up being a free agent as well. Reek Woolen. I mean, after that NFC Championship game, I don't know if he'd be a top guy here. The Cincinnati Bengals would add Jalen Watson. I like that. I mean, I do think DJ Turner was a fantastic corner for them last year, but if you can add Jalen Watson to that secondary, it's just something they need going forward. Like they need to just invest everything defensively this offseason and the offensive line. And the Bengals do have a decent amount of money to work with, $46 million. I mean, I don't think they should trade T. Higgins, but I don't know. Actually, maybe they should trade T. Higgins if they can get like a second round pick or something. If they can get a second and a fourth for T. Higgins. I don't know if I really trust that front office in terms of drafting, but if we could just beef up the offensive line, if we could beef up the secondary, and you get somebody like Jalen Watson this offseason, yeah, like we're cooking, honestly. Like they're not getting Tyler Linderbaum. I doubt he darts in division. But what if this team adds like Rasheed Walker? I don't know if the Packers are going to let him go. They could just end up tagging him. And what if they're able to add Jalen Watson? Like that is huge. What if they're able to sign Kevin Byard as well, who's a free agent? And now we're really adding to that secondary. I like that landing spot for sure. And then Reed Blankenship as the top safety on the market. I don't really know if I agree with that. They think he's going to be back in Philadelphia. I mean, the Eagles really don't have... They do have a little bit of cap space at the moment. We still have to figure out if like AJ Brown is getting traded this offseason as well. I don't know if he's 26 years old. I don't think Reed Blankenship is like the best in coverage. It helps that he's playing with like Quinion Mitchell and he's playing with Cooper DeJean, and he had some veterans over the years as well, and like CJ Gardner-Johnson and Darius Slay moving forward. But Blankenship isn't a bad safety by any means, so no love to the kickers, punters, or long snappers, I'll tell you that. I would love to know what you guys agree with or disagree with. Let me know if you guys did enjoy by dropping a thumbs up on this video. I should have maybe a redraft or regrade of the 2025 draft out soon here on the channel, so make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.